So Wicked for Good with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo and Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Yao and Bowen Yang is coming out. And I started thinking, like, man, I've been a pseudo theater person for a long time. And my mom signed a permission slip while I was in second or third grade, and we went to see the Nutcracker. Now, it's not necessarily the Nutcracker itself that I love, but for some reason, it sparked a thing inside of me that I've always had an admiration for the arts, especially theater. And I watch the Tonys every year. Like it's crazy. Like certain years, the NBA Finals would be on and the Tonys would be on. I'll be flipping back and forth. I don't think most brothers are doing that, but it's true. It's like I got to see if the producers won. Oh no, Kobe and Shaq. So I can't say I'm a theater junkie, but I do watch the Tonys. I pay attention, and so I said, well, what's my favorite Broadway type productions? So I'm gonna give y'all two honorable mentions and some of my top 5 favorite theater productions, and maybe some of y'all can step beyond the shadows and just say, hey man, I like theater too. I just can't tell nobody. Okay, honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1 is Grease. More so probably the movie than anything else. I've always been a fan of Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, but I really wasn't paying that much attention to it. And while I was in college, I was part of the programming board, and we select acts for the freshmen for the next year. So we had to go to Michigan for this event to choose acts. Well, I was the only brother in that vehicle, me and a bunch of white girls. And they commandeered the radio, and they had 2 tapes, Bad Out of Hell by Meatloaf and the soundtrack to Grease. Now, I knew of both those albums, but I was like, man, come on, man. Where's Dre and Snoop? Man, I came up from Michigan singing all those songs. I knew everything about Bad Out of Hell and Grease by the time I came back. So that alone, I have a great admiration for Grease, the soundtrack, and Olivia and John. But mention number 2 is not a Broadway show, but is a musical of sorts. Glee, the TV show Glee. Back in the 90s, Stephen Bochco, who created History Blues and NYPD Blue and LA Law, created a show called Cop Rock. And it was critically panned because you had a bunch of cops singing. And I was like, no, I think this thing could work. But it's the wrong premise. I think a musical can't work, but it's just cops singing. That's not going to work. And then we flash forward to Glee, set in a Glee club in Ohio. And I just saw Lea Michele recently. She's still on Broadway. She looks great. Still a great singer. But the idea that they took popular songs and turned them into musicals was amazing. And people forget, it's been so long now. Glee was a phenomenon. From time to time, the Glee movie is on cable, and you just remind us, like, man, that they were big at one point. Like when they used to drop songs, like they used to be like number 1 in the world. So yeah, shout out to Glee. So let's get into the top 5. Number 5, bringing the noise, bringing the funk. I miss Savion Glover. Savion Glover put a hip hop spin on tap. And he was a kid tap dancer. I mean, he learned from Gregory Hines. I think he danced with Sammy Davis Jr. And the beautiful thing about tap is such an underrated art. Because I remember we used to watch So You Could Think You Could Dance, and they would have a tapper on there. And they stood out because not too many people tapped. But there's so many sounds and rhythms you can do with tap. And Savion Glover took everything he learned from watching Gregory Hines and Sammy Davis and the Nicholas Brothers. Go watch the Nicholas Brothers. Oh, they're fantastic. And he took all that and made it hip hop with bringing the noise, bringing the funk. I miss seeing Savion Glover because I think a whole new generation of kid needs to see tap dancing at its finest. Now, bringing the noise is like back in the mid-90s. So I know he's probably working in New York, as an art director or something, artistic director or something like that. But man, I miss seeing tap dancers, and I miss Savion Glover. But at least we have that legacy of bringing the noise, bringing the funk. Number 4 is a play, A Soldier Story. I was going to put Fences, because shout out to August Wilson. But I went to Soldier Story. The original play starred Adolph Caesar, who was in the movie. Denzel Washington was also in the original, and he was also in the movie. And Samuel Jackson. These 3 and a host of other black actors. young black actors were in the original version of the Soldier Story. And Sam Jackson wouldn't fully get his shine until later when he got with Spike Lee. But I can't imagine watching Adolph Caesar, Denzel, and Sam Jackson as raw young performers, especially Denzel and Sam in the original production of the Soldier Story. It is an amazing movie, an amazing play. David Alan Grier, who was in the movie, came back when they revived the play in 2020, I think, or the 2020s. He took over the Adolph Caesar role, and Blair Underwood was in it. But A Soldier Story, I miss hearing about Black American actors coming from the theater. There's a reason why Denzel and Sam are still around. They had that training as theater actors. Shout out to the theater for giving us such great production. And shout out to August Wilson. That wasn't his play, but shout out to all those Black playwrights back then. We desperately need them again. Number 3, Dreamgirls. For a lot of people, they just know Shirley Ralph from Abbott Elementary or Moesha, but her very beginnings, like I think she was on an episode of Good Times. She was in a film with film with Sidney Poitier, I believe, back in the 70s. But her first claim to fame was in Dreamgirls with her and Loretta Devine and the great Jennifer Holliday. And that's where I come in at. Now, I didn't see Dreamgirls the play. I was too young. But I heard And I'm Not Telling You by Jennifer Holliday. Now, most people today just know the Jennifer Hudson version from the Dreamgirls movie with Beyonce and the lovely Anika Noni Rose. Hello, Anika. I love her so much. But most people know the Jennifer Hudson version, which is great. The Jennifer Hudson version is fantastic. But nothing is as great as the Jennifer Holliday version. And you got to think, this is R&B radio in the 80s, playing a song from a musical. And they didn't remix it. They played it raw. And when you hear the emotion in Jennifer Holliday's voice, and she did that 8 shows a week, bringing that type of angst, pain, rawness every night and twice on Sunday, she had to be spent singing that all the time. Just go listen to Jennifer Holliday. Again, Jennifer Hudson's version is fine, but go listen to the Jennifer Holliday version. And if you don't feel something from that, it's like, oh my God, you feel for her as a character, but you just really feel for her as a singer. It's like, oh my God, there's so much pain and anguish and heart in that vocal. And I wish that Jennifer Holliday actually became like a bigger R&B star after that, or at least a bigger Broadway star after that, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. But she will always have that legacy of that song. So Dreamgirls is number 3. Number 2, Phantom of the Opera. This is one play I actually saw in person. And I actually, when I went to see it, I actually bought the mask. That's why I was so into it, because I feel a kinship to the Phantom. Because the Phantom was disfigured, and he didn't feel like the female lead wouldn't embrace him because of his looks, and he was obsessed with her. I wasn't obsessed with anybody, but I always loved from afar because I was a quiet, shy guy. So I would say, oh my God, I like her so much. She's so far. She's so close, but yet so far. But I also felt like I didn't fit in. I think that was the biggest thing. The Phantom didn't feel like he fit in because of how he looks. I just felt like I never fit in. Like right now, I'm telling y'all, I was a kid who loved Broadway. And Tupac. Those things usually don't come up in conversations too much, you know? So I always felt like I fit in. So I had a great appreciation of the Phantom. And that's Andrew Lloyd Webber. Man, that dude, that guy, I don't know how you can write and co-write so many hit plays. Now, he had some clunkers, but to be able to write all these hit plays and then have all these plays still on traveling tours, I can't imagine. I think he's a billionaire. But to write at least writing one stage play to do that, a musical, is amazing. But write like a ton of them? Shout out to Phantom. And number 1 is Hamilton. Hamilton's number 1 because I'm sure there was probably people who tried to get a hip-hop type show like that on Broadway, but it's the Great White Way, and they probably didn't want to do it. And to be honest, they haven't really done it since. But Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's coming off In the Heights, which was already a huge hit. and he's on vacation, and he grabs this book about Alexander Hamilton, and he decides to make a musical about it. Not about Lincoln, not about Washington, not about Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton. And he wrote a whole hip-hop play musical about Alexander Hamilton. It's Lin-Manuel Miranda's pen game is impeccable. And I'm sure they probably figured, well, this should do well. This is like the Heist did okay. This should do well. I don't think they envisioned how big this would be. Leslie Odom is Burr. I had hoped that Leslie Odom would be like Taye Diggs. I originally had Rent on here, but I took it off because of time. But Taye Diggs went from Rent to how Stella got her groove back, and then he become a consistent star since then. I was hoping the same thing was going to happen to Leslie Odom. It didn't work out for Leslie Odom, but he's back playing Burr on Broadway of Hamilton, which is great. But Leslie Odom's such a great talent, man. I just wish he would become a bigger star from this. But as long as he's on Broadway, it's cool. And then Renee Goldsberry, I love Goldsberry since One Life to Live. So when she's part of the Schuyler Sisters, the greatest city in the world. I love the Schuyler Sisters. Everything about that musical is fantastic. But counteract that with Andrew Lloyd Webber, Lin-Manuel just doesn't write like that. Because okay, he did Hamilton, what's next? And he's still working, he's working on the Warriors and things like that. But I think with him, it's more quality than quantity. And if we get one play every 7 years out of Lin-Manuel Miranda, and if they're all great, that's fantastic. I just wish we had more hip-hop plays. The door was open for more hip-hop plays, but Broadway being Broadway, they didn't do it. Right now, the buzz play, I would think, or the musical play is Old Mary. That seems to be the buzzy play this year. But I wish there was more hip-hop in Broadway. I wish it was. So that is my Broadway list. If you are brave enough to tell me what are your favorite Broadway musicals, plays, productions, please let me know. You don't have to leave your name. You can still be hood and pretend you're somebody else. But yeah, I feel like there's more people out here that's like me. I just like admitting it.